Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. A parade worth waiting for sure. But D-Mac, how are you today? Happy Friday, my friend.
I feel good, Rachel. I feel like a good sort of tired, like a happy, satisfied sort of tired. How are you feeling? How's your foot?
Foot's a little sore today. I hit 10,000 steps yesterday, so it's a little sore, but we're going to rest it up.
I'll tell you this, though, Rachel, I gotta give you props. You are in good damn shape. Like, even with that boot, you were scooting along. Like, I was walking with you a little bit, and I had to, I gotta get on my giddy up a little bit,
I learned if you take bigger steps, it's less pressure on your foot. So I was just taking, larger steps than I normally would and just, moving. Because I feel like when you're in a boot, you do, really small steps, but then it's just, more pressure on your foot all the time.
I got to admit, too, despite all the running and all these other wild things that I've done throughout the course of my life, I am a really slow walker. It drives my wife nuts. The way we used to, go on walks and stuff. And I'm just, I don't know why. I mean, I got short, but I'm taller than you. I mean, I would have a longer stride than you would have. And, you were killing me just with the boot. I was pushing a bike around. I'm a pretty good biker, but I'm a slow walker. So you were crushing it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
A little sore today, though. It's a little, yeah.
When I got out of bed this morning, I was like, oh yeah, I can feel it. So we wrapped it. We're gonna ice it a little bit, elevate it, get back on the grind, and then.
For everybody that doesn't know, Rachel's got I don't know what's going officially on with your ankle because you haven't had it officially checked out, but it's busted up really bad. And Rachel's in this big walking boot on your right foot. I think it's your right foot. And you were getting everywhere. You were up and down the parade route. You were inside. You were walking back. You were amazing with everything you did.
Oh, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Those are the type of events, no matter what, I'm like, I will not miss that. We will just power through. And I'm super glad I did because it was obviously a fun parade. I did see this question, though. How is the police officer doing freaky event? Yes, I have not heard anything, D-Mac. I don't know if you've got little birdies all over. I haven't heard anything on the police officer, but of course we do want to pass along our thoughts and prayers to him.
I don't know what's going on either. That was a terrible event in an otherwise amazing day. They lost control of the parade for a little bit. The fans just in their enthusiasm crashed in, and I think things just got sadly a little confusing. And Jamal Murray had a bird's eye view of everything going on, and that's why they had to transfer Jamal and Jokic into a SWAT vehicle. It's I was trying to watch the parade along a bunch of different vantage points. So I had 3 different places that I stopped to actually watch it. So I saw Coach Malone pass twice. I saw Jokic and Murray's fire truck pass. Oh no, I'm sorry. I saw Malone 3 times. Sorry. I saw Jokic and Murray twice. And when I saw Malone the 3rd time, I was like, oh, Jokic and Murray should be right behind. Yeah. And then I was looking down the street. This was near the end of the entire parade. And I was like, well, where is it? Yeah. So the accident had happened somewhere between the 2nd time I saw him and the 3rd time that I saw Malone and the coaches. So it's a really terrible incident that an officer got caught underneath the fire truck unknowingly. There was some real confusion, and then there was a shooting that was near the parade route, but it was completely unrelated. I mean, it just had nothing to do with nothing, just a bad incident. So I really feel terrible for that police officer, and I definitely want to pass along my best wishes. Tough moment, tough moment, bad moment, and it shouldn't have happened. Frankly, it should not have happened.
Agreed. So many people were down there. I think the total number I saw was like 750,000. So bigger than the Avalanche parade, smaller than the Broncos parade, but still a lot of people down there to celebrate the very first parade. What was your favorite moment though, D-Mac? Like what moment now that you've kind of processed everything sticks out in your head?
Wow. For me personally, my favorite moment was Nikola Jokic saying he wants to stay on parade.
Oh my gosh.
Using colorful language, because for a personal reason, I'm the one who asked him about the parade in the first place after the game. And, it was a little bit of a calculated question because I assumed first of all, he didn't know when the parade was. I guess that.
I don't think any of them knew.
Maybe not. And the second thing was I doubted he would want to do anything but go home to Serbia. Mm-hmm. So it was, Rachel was kind of right place, right time, right. And it was actually a 2-part question because I asked him, how did he feel? Considering he said he didn't feel that, much emotion after the Lakers sweep.
Yeah.
So I said that. And then I said, are you looking forward to the parade? And then kind of the rest is history. So when he got up there in his speech, which was only 45 seconds long, and he goes, I told that I did not want to stay on parade. F word, want to stay on parade, So I want to make that a t-shirt. Rachel, how about this? We want to stay on parade. Yep. That's what we want to do. We want to stay on parade with the Avs, with the Nuggets, with the Broncos at some point, probably after Russell Wilson's gone. Rachel, we want to stay on parade. So personally for me and the response, to see 750,000 people go nuts for Jokic, but it started with a question that I asked. It was cool.
It's one of those proud career moments, D-Mac, and you should be proud.
Yeah, it's just like one of those moments, like I'll have a small link to an iconic moment forever. Yeah. And I just think that's, I think it's cool for the city. I think it's a little cool for me. A lot of cool. I'll tell you this. It's one of the few times I've heard from my kids about the things that I do, period. And one of my can I tell this story or not?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna leave it alone. My kids, I'll tell you later. But my kids, I'll tell you this. It's a complicated thing as your kids get older when their dad or their relative is, doing what I do. So they want to have their own identities. And both my sons have had to sort of, it's been an interesting journey for them because they've both done their own thing here in the state of Colorado, and they don't want to, dad.
They don't want to be just D-Mac's kids. They want to
No. But there was an interesting that they find themselves in interesting positions. I'll just leave it there. And the more, I'll tell you this, the more separation, the better.
I love this comment. Cool for an old guy to go super viral. D-Mac, you're not that old, I promise.
I'm not that old. What is
I do?
I was on our sister station in Seattle, and Mike Salt goes, "Hey, I love that video with you and your daughter." And I'm like, "Okay, all right."
I was reading some of the comments from the vlogs. There's so many good ones. I love that people love them just as much as we like. We have so much fun making them, and of course, we include Jake and everybody in there too. But I also see this comment. Can we talk about the game or about the last game? The walking down with Aaron Gordon, hanging out with the fans in yesterday's parade. Yes, Aaron Gordon. I just want to highlight that. He was just everywhere. He was walking home, obviously, after the game, hanging out with the fans. He got off the fire truck and was hanging out with fans. I saw a wonderful video from Jake. Like, Aaron Gordon truthfully enjoyed the moment. I don't even know if he was actually supposed to talk at the parade, but the fact that he just got up there and wanted to say some things to the fans, I'm like, Aaron Gordon, my man.
Well, Michael Malone couldn't help himself. Michael Malone just sort of took charge of things when I don't think he was, I don't know if that was the original plan. But, listen, things go a little haywire. It was not nearly as haywire as the Avalanche stuff. Like, listen, a lot of people are like, oh, my God, Michael Malone was having some cocktails and I'm like, yeah, but you didn't see the Avalanche.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, that is all true. But the Avalanche, the condition of that was next level. By the way, I did get tipped off by a little birdie about what the Nuggets were going to be doing after the parade. We did talk about it on the radio show, and it turned out to be right. I'll ask you, do you know what happened with the Nuggets after the parade rage?
That they got on a little plane and headed down to Vegas, including the Joker. So there was a rumor about them going to Vegas right after the game. So that, sometimes with rumors, there's partial truths with the rumor. And I did confirm that it was Josh Kroenke who got a plane for any player. It was only for the players, but for any player. So I don't think it was wives and girlfriends, and I know it wasn't staff. It was just, players only. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas unless there's some, photos, which there's a couple. And so that's what they did. They including Jokic. And it was not friends and family. It really was just the players. And they went to Horaka-san, which is a nightclub in the MGM Grand. Now, Will Peterson pointed this out, which is hysterical. Christian Brown has a signing at Dick's Sporting Goods Park today at 5:00. So you want to go down this rabbit hole? You go from winning to walking out up to all the right after the game in the locker room and in Ball Arena, walking out with your shirt off to the way I saw him when he walked off. Still didn't have his shirt on for the parade. No.
And
sliced his hand.
Cuts up his hand. Goes up. I theoretically he went off to Vegas. I mean, I just kind of assume he did. I didn't see any pictures.
No, there were pictures of him downtown at Jackson's last night.
Was it last night or yesterday afternoon?
Well, I guess good question. I saw the pictures at 7:00 at night, so that's still very early when you're celebrating, but also a little bit later than the parade.
I would be stunned if Christian Brown missed the team flight to Vegas, considering I'm going to guess that flight just went out a little bit later. And the parade was really done by, I don't know, 1:00. Yeah, it definitely was. It was because you and I were on the air together at 1:45. Yep. So it was definitely done by, it was done by 1:00. I think he scooted over to Jackson. Although that is a weird one though, Rachel, when you think about it, because the staging area was back in the, at Ball Arena, which is like a mile from Coors Field, which is where Jackson's. You know what? Here's my guess. My guess is that he lives downtown. A lot of these guys do. A lot of them do. So my guess is he actually lives nearby, and that was an easy thing for him to do. And then you go to Vegas later. My point is the exhaustion schedule.
Oh,
I mean.
I was talking to one of the staff members, and I was like, "Have you slept?" And he was like, "Literally, no, I have not slept." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!"
All right, I would want to go see Christian Brown at Park Meadows Mall today between 5 and 6:30 out of pure curiosity.
Can you imagine?
Well, I'm curious about it for sure. Maybe we can send Jake Shapiro on a little scouting trip this afternoon or something, and get to the bottom of the Brown line.
Well, we'll ask him because he's about to come on here shortly. But I do want to get back to Malone because I loved Parade Malone. I think he was just absolutely fantastic. And first of all, these screenshots are just so good. But I feel like we saw all sides of Michael Malone yesterday down there at the parade. Good morning, Jake. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. I unlike the Nuggets, have had a giant night of sleep again. I have been sleeping like a baby, unlike Michael Malone.
Yeah.
Well, wait, what did you do last night, Jake?
I came home, made myself peach and prosciutto sandwich and turned on the Aces Storm game and fell asleep in the second quarter and woke up at 7 a.m.
Oh, all right. I thought you were implying you were out and.
No,
No, he said he's been getting us a lot of sleep.
I've never slept better, D-Mac. I'm so relieved that the Nuggets have won the title that I can't stop sleeping. It's amazing.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. It's good to know. Yeah, I was saying to Rachel, maybe you got to go to the Park Meadows Mall, the Dick's, and just check in on Christian Brown and see if he's still alive somehow today, because he's doing an appearance there, like an autograph signing this afternoon.
Look, I know 22-year-olds that went to the University of Kansas. He's fine. I promise you, he's fine.
This is a different level, though. This is partying with the big boys.
Yeah, the best video of Christian Brown yesterday was him behind the bar at Jackson's, pouring bottles of vodka and tequila into people's mouths. We have not put that one on our platforms, but that was the best one I saw. And to clean up your thing about Hakkasan, which is in Vegas and MGM, it was not players only. Calvin Booth was there. There's some staffers there as well. So it was a team event, but it wasn't just the 12 guys. I have not seen pictures of Christian Brown there, but I'm sure it was also inclusive of Christian Brown.
All right, I was told a little otherwise by a birdie, but okay, I'll take your word for it. So I'm not saying Calvin Booth doesn't surprise me, but it wasn't like wives and girlfriends, and and I know a significant member of the staff who did not go. So I'm gonna. How about this? It was a little bit more exclusive than yesterday's parade, which included, like, seriously,
the Sizzling seniors were not in Vegas, correct, D-Mac?
Yes. Yes.
Seniors.
Oh my gosh, Jake, what was your favorite moment of the parade?
I mean, D-Mac already took mine. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Jokic with I want to be on parade still, and
stay on parade.
Stay on parade.
The language is very important. Stay on parade.
Which backs up "Don't Bet Against the Fat Boy," which came out earlier this week. He's on an absolute miraculous run of hilarious one-liners. For me, though, it was seeing how happy he was. I had this moment, and I walked the entire parade route with these guys, and I stayed with Jokic and Jamal. I bounced a little bit around with AG, KCP, and Malone towards the back of the parade, but I stayed with Jokic and Jamal for most of it, and there's this moment about 2 blocks in, right towards Ball Arena, where it was not even the official parade route yet, but they were on like 15th and by Union Station, but ahead. And they were slowed down. They're just waiting. And Jokic is just sitting there with people all up and down on the buildings. He's smiling, and they're chanting, "Murray, Murray." And he's leading the chant, and he's just like laughing, and he couldn't get enough of it. And I think, to me, that's going to be the lasting image of Jokic in our city, being so excited, being so overwhelmed. And my theory now, after hearing his quotes the last, week, I don't think he knew what a parade was or what it would mean in totality or how many people. He could have thought it was another media event where he had to talk to D-Mac and Mike Singer. He didn't know that it was going to be 750,000 people from the city coming out to be like, "You're our guy." So that was just, I think yesterday he really connected with what he means to the city, and it might be the first time he really kind of grasped it.
It's actually a good point because, to be honest, I mean, in Serbia, we don't know if they have parades or anything of that nature, but he didn't grow up watching the NBA. He probably doesn't remember any of the huge parades that are talked about.
So he had one parade that I know about in Serbia. After the Serbia team won silver or bronze, I think it was silver at the Olympics in 2016 when they lost to Team USA, he had a massive parade in his hometown of Sombor, Serbia for him. But I don't know if that's maybe not the word they use. It doesn't get translated or something, but he has been part of a championship parade, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say too that I think it's an overwhelming thing to just win. It's so hard to do. And they, when they were saying how locked in they were, that was not a cliche. That is the truth. That's how determined they were. That is how focused they were. That wasn't a lie. So anything after was really like
did
Mars
you
or something.
You cut out. I thought you were getting a phone call from a birdie.
No, I was good the whole time. That wasn't me. Was that me?
Yeah.
That was me. Oh, well,
so repeat what you said, because you did cut out for a decent chunk of it.
I just said that their degree of them being locked in was no joke. That is the truth.
Yeah.
They were not looking ahead to anything. So that was great. Michael Malone being. I love how Mike and Mark this morning on the radio show said Michael Malone was the fourth member of the Beastie Boys. That's easy to say. The theme song should be "No Sleep Till Brooklyn," please. I mean, that's an absolute no-brainer.
Funny.
There's no one ever who has looked like a white guy named Mike than Michael Malone yesterday. Like, he looked like a white guy named Mike that loves to party and goes to Vegas in his spare time, like twice a year, bets on some things, plays some golf with his buddy. Like,
did Malone go to Vegas?
That I don't know. There was no pictures of that.
I don't think so, man. And it actually, even the Calvin Booth surprised me a little bit. But I think that was kind of just for the players.
Jake,
but
one of your videos.
Josh Kroenke was there. I mean, Josh was there. So I don't know. Maybe he was. Who knows?
Josh, a big old bachelor. Jake, one of your videos I was watching, and it is of Michael Malone, and he has a shooter in his mouth, and he like throws it up, takes the shooter, and spits it out. And his wife is right next to him, and she just goes like this on her face, and I could not help but laugh. I can't imagine watching your husband after who knows how many years they've been married just take the shooter and then spit it out into the crowd and just be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm watching this right now.
So someone threw the shirt at him that said, B word, I'm a nugget, and then F around and find out on the backside. And Malone kept putting that up. Like, he got it at one point and he kept bringing it back up. Every time he tried to put it up, his wife was like, stop it, and like grabbed it and put it away.
Oh my God.
I got one picture of it, but I think it was pretty clear that being there, they knew it would be on social media. It ended up on social media anyway because there were 700,000 people with their phones out. But they were like, this guy's going to put it on social media and we don't want this one on social media. Was kind of the grasp I got. It was really funny. He was like full on drunk guy. I think he might have been the drunkest person at the parade yesterday, which I expected. Like, I fully expected it. And like, philosophically and the stuff that we've been talking about here the last few months that people in the know now know, Malone was hearing everything. So Jokic was hearing a lot. And we heard little leaks of this through the Lakers series and other stuff. But Malone, in his parade speech of the stat patter, that coming back up again, even Michael Hancock's speech, the mayor of Denver, talking about like the national media guys doubted them. Like, Michael Hancock wasn't paying attention to what no national or local media was. That was written for him by somebody, so it was clear that all of these narratives had an effect on the Nuggets, and it shaped the way their season was viewed, but it also shaped the way they played their own season.
Good point. And I can't believe we've gone 25 minutes into this show and we haven't brought up one of the biggest parts about the whole rally was Bruce Brown and Michael Malone and the talk about Bruce Brown possibly returning. Okay, so Jake, I know you've said this literally over a million times because everybody is asking you, but how can the Nuggets possibly bring back Bruce Brown?
So don't panic. Bruce Brown will decline his player option next week on Wednesday. Because if he does that and he still wants to come back, he can get a 20% raise on his yearly salary from this year, which would be $7.7 million. And he would sign a 2-year deal for $7.7 a year with an opt-out again, a mirror deal to what he signed this last year, joining from Brooklyn. And then he would opt out after next summer, and then the Nuggets could offer him something longer term. The CBA inhibits the Nuggets from offering him more than $7.7 million per year this offseason. What he could get in free agency is obviously a max deal. He could get some kind of salary cap deal. He could get a lot of money, upwards of $25, $30 million a year. That is unlikely. However, the same exception that allowed the Nuggets, who were over the salary cap last summer, to sign Bruce Brown, it's called the mid-level exception. Teams that are not into the tax, non-tax paying teams, which is not the Nuggets, they are paying the tax. The non-taxpayer mid-level exception starts at about $10 million, and it can be an offer of 4 years, with the last year being like $15 million. So essentially, Bruce can sign for a 1-year guaranteed deal at $7.7 million, or join a pretty good team, one that might win a championship, for 4 years, $45 million this summer. That's the basic breakdown. And of course, there's some other circumstances where he could get paid more. He could get paid less, which is the taxpayer mid-level. But if Bruce came back, obviously you'd have Bruce, but you'd also have that mid-level exception to sign a guy for $6.5 million, which would be like a Dennis Schroeder or somebody who could be valuable to your playoff rotation next year. So Bruce coming back would have some huge impacts on the Nuggets, not only this year, but into the future moving forward as well. Whereas if Bruce doesn't come back, Bruce coming back, basically, he wouldn't get his first big contract till he's 29. If Bruce went to free agency now, he'd get his first big contract at 27. So his second big contract would come at 31 versus 33. So this is a huge decision for Bruce, not only for not this year's salary, but moving forward in terms of career earnings.
There was a lot of pressure put on him, wasn't there? It was like the Bruce Brown, pressure fest, peer pressure. I don't know. We'll see. I guess that's a we'll see sort of deal.
Raise your hand if you think he'll return.
I don't know. He's a quirky guy. He's a cool guy. He's very wide open to a million different things. He's not married. A lot of guys have drama in their personal life, but so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there, although I've heard rumors, that's for sure. But I don't know if I'm not, who knows? Listen, every guy is just sort of different. Every person has their own motivation for money and what they want out of life. So to say that you definitely know exactly what he's going to do, all you're doing is putting yourself in that situation. And the vast majority of us just want more money, but not all of us. Not all of us. To other people, different things mean different things. So I don't know. I don't know him well enough to understand what he really wants to get out of life. Guys, it's still, like Jake said, $7.7 million for 1 year, with the possibility that he's going to keep playing. And why wouldn't Bruce Brown think he's going to keep playing for another 10 years? So it's not like you're at the end of the line with money. You could just be beginning. You could look at it that way, and you could easily say, I'm going to give this one more run because I love these guys. That was awesome. If we win 2 in a row, man, then I'll jump ship and make big bang for myself. Why not? Let's give it another run. I'll tell you something else that's interesting. It's a short summer because they've gone this far. So the concept of
the draft is in 6 days.
Yeah. It's popping up real fast.
It would be really easy, seriously, for him just to say, I'm here. I'll get what I can from the agent and let's run it back. And I do think Malone is saying, I don't think it was an accident that Malone was saying the things that he was saying at that parade. I think there's a way. I think they want him, and I think there's a way they think they can get him. I don't think that was just being a jerk to him. I think that was like, we love you, we want you, and there could be a lot of good things in your future here.
And that is the only reason I think there is this sliver of hope because we know Michael Malone is a very calculated person. Michael Malone doesn't just go out there and shoot the sheesh for anything or whatever. He's very calculated. And the fact that he would say that in front of 750,000 people makes me think that there's been a conversation that's happened behind the scenes a little bit. And maybe even if it was just a little extra push, there was some sort of conversation about the possibility.
Yeah, Bruce seemed to play along with it. It didn't seem to be a jerky guilt trip thing that Bruce didn't shy away from it. So, hey, let's knock on wood. Let's hope that's the case. Bruce Brown knows that he's well-loved here, and he knows a lot of things. He knows what his role would be. He knows he would have a critically important role He more or less knows the money. He knows a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. He was like a forgotten man with the Nets, and in the NBA in general. Who the hell was Bruce Brown? Seriously.
It's funny. He was one of my favorite players on that Nets team, and I watched a lot of the Nets because Kevin Durant's one of my favorite players of all time. And I was so impressed with him, but he wants to be a point guard in the NBA. He doesn't want to be a 3-and-D wing. He's fine with being a 3-and-D wing sometimes, but he wants to be a point guard. The Nuggets have given him the opportunity to be a backup point guard. Mm-hmm. And will they roll into next season with him as the backup point guard? And is he going to get that opportunity elsewhere? So that's a really big talking point. As D-Mac said, he played along with it. He said one more year at the end of the speech. At the end of the speeches, I don't think that was planned at all. I also think that might have probably been a mistake because the last thing we want to do is cultivate any animosity towards Bruce, and the fans might get now an expectation that he could come back. But granted, to D-Mac's point, it's $10 million this season versus $7.7 million this season in all likelihood. Mm-hmm. It's not that much money this season, but it's down the line and guaranteed money effects that are a little bit scary. But you're right in saying if he has a great season, the Nuggets win a title again, he's going to get a huge deal in free agency, a huge deal. So that's something to consider for him.
In this whole process, is Rachel drinking wine?
It looks like it.
Friday, everybody. No, it is actually just some cranberry juice. I needed like a detox in my body after the past couple. All the popcorn I've eaten, I need just like a straight detox. So it's just
that's an interesting glass for cranberry juice, Rachel.
The dog likes me best. That's what it says.
I
wish it were.
We're going with cranberry juice, huh? All right. Okay.
Speaking of drinking,
I can promise you it is.
Speaking of drinking, I think one of my favorite videos that came out of yesterday, by the way, is Nikola Jokic at Hakkasan, and he knows all the lyrics to Mo Bamba by Sheck West, and he's going off. Little thing that no one really noticed that I just put on Twitter. What team does Mo Bamba play for, guys? The Los Angeles Lakers. He just swept them.
Wait, maybe I am an
Sheck
old guy
West
here.
Is a rapper. He grew up with Mo Bamba, who was a really big high school prospect, and he went to Texas. It's a really famous song that got popular like 2019.
Yeah.
They're playing it at the club in Hakkasan last night, and Nikola, for some reason, knows all the lyrics to this rap song. It got big in the NBA. Nikola is mouthing the lyrics to this song about a player that he just swept in the playoffs.
I'm sorry, that's where you like. It's about
Mo
Bamba. It's not Mo Bamba doing the song.
No, it's not Mo Bamba doing the song. It's his childhood friend, Sheck West.
Like me.
I was on the same thing, and I know what song you're talking about because it was big, like I guess now 4 years ago or whatever. But I thought you were saying that the player had recorded it, and then I was like really confused too. So interesting. Go Jokic. I just love him. I'm so happy for him, for his entire family, except for the beer can being thrown at his wife. Shame on people. Don't throw full beer cans at people holding children, please and thank you. But yeah, I'm just happy.
Things got thrown at them yesterday. So many.
Rachel, I appreciate what you're saying. And if we're going to make any small critiques of things, this is a little bit of an I told you so moment because I said no babies at parades. And there's a reason for that. And I by accident caught on video somebody throwing a t-shirt that almost hit his daughter in the face, but there was a guy standing behind Jokic who actually swatted it away. I mean, listen, it was a great day, so I'm not going to rain on anybody's parade, but I'll just say this. No babies at parade. I don't care who the baby is. I don't care if it's a player's baby or a fan's baby. Babies, parade, babies and dogs, stay away. Your kids got to be at least 4.
On the babies thing, let me ask you guys this. The Drew Brees with his kids Super Bowl pick is like one of the most famous sports pick ever. Will the Nikola Jokic with his kids pick over the last few days with his baby, will that resonate in any sort of way that the Drew Brees one did?
No.
That picture... The picture of Drew Brees and his, oh my gosh, that picture still just like warms my heart. Don't get me wrong. The Jokic one is so sweet, but we can all agree that the Super Bowl is still a bigger event than the NBA Finals will ever be.
For some people.
There was not an iconic. It wasn't iconic enough. Here's why it wasn't iconic enough. Because he said, I F word want to stay on parade. And it's like we had our iconic moment. You know, that was it.
Just pictures. Jake, real quick though, there's some news going on with Coach Prime up in Boulder about his foot. Like, what's actually going on here?
Wrote about this for denversports.com a couple of years back. I think it was 2021 when he was coaching at Jackson State. He had a foot surgery where he repaired some sort of ligament damage or like something from his playing days that he had just been dealing with for a while. Mm-hmm. That surgery didn't go all that well, and he kind of rushed back and was doing some things he shouldn't have. It ended up with him in the hospital for a couple weeks where they at one point thought he was going to die. And he ended up losing a couple toes on his foot because of it. And he came back and he's been fine, and he's made some jokes and he's opened up about it. And we've all written about all of this on denversports.com. But in a vlog that came out, I think yesterday, he had a meeting with his medical staff in which they basically told him, you're getting to a point where you're likely going to have to lose your foot. So he's losing blood flow to the foot. It's a bad situation. And he is, the way he thinks, he's got to make this decision quickly because he wants to return to the football field and he wants to be a full go for the start of next season, which is the fall, and this is the summer. So he might be kind of making this decision, which is obviously a pretty big one, pretty quickly. And also the medical team, and this was all on the vlog, his entire meeting with the medical team was on video, which is just a fascinating look into someone's life. Basically said, if you don't get this done, it could have cascading effects. And we know what the implication of that is. So it's a very bad situation.
You know, Dion and I, how old is he, Jake? I think we're
55.
So we're almost the same age, me and Dion. And I can't imagine news like that. Seriously. You know, and not that I have anything else in common with Dion except for age, but like, you know, it's not that old, guys. It really isn't. I mean, you'd want to be active and do things in life. And for somebody who is such an amazing athlete, already what he's been going through with the amputation of toes, I think has been difficult. And I think people might not take it as seriously because he jokes around about it. You know, he has kind of fun with it. I saw that video yesterday. My heart went out to him. I think he's handling it with a lot of grace and poise, and to actually have that all filmed. I kind of had my jaw drop that this was all like being laid out here. And yeah, I mean, obviously one thing could go to another, could go to your calf, could go to your thigh, could go to your hip, could go to your heart, you know? And it's just like, whoa, wow, this is like a really serious deal. I don't even know what you do if you have your foot amputated. Your foot amputated? I mean, I don't know how that gets replaced or how they deal with it. I don't know what your life is like after that. I think this is extremely serious, and I feel terrible for him. I'm so sorry that this is happening when everything else around CU and Deion Sanders has been so brilliant.
Wow. Yeah, that's just crazy to me. I haven't seen the video personally, Jake. I saw your story and read a little bit about it, but that's like really scary. But also, huge shout out to Deion for willing to share that entire conversation. Like, that is so private and personal, and yet he's willing to put it out there so that people can get kind of a better understanding. I think that's incredible. As somebody who I record a lot of my life, you guys, but for somebody like I can't even imagine doing that type of thing. So huge shout out to him. That's crazy.
You should have vlogged your meeting when you sprained your ankle with the doctor.
I know. Well, I haven't gone to the doctor technically, so
okay.
If I do, if it's not better by next week, or I'm definitely going to the doctor, but next time, guys, next time. Jake, as always, huge shout out to you. Thank you for keeping us updated on Deion. And of course, if anything else comes out, denversports.com. But Pat Surtain was on Pat McAfee yesterday to give D-Mac a little bit of credit again. We'll take a listen.
Pat, are we going to get to see you return some kicks this year? I hear there might be a rumor you're doing that a little bit.
Don't do that.
Why not?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. What the crazy thing about it was we was in practice one time, and a little bit of info was came up. He was just asking around, like, who punt return before, who had experience of, returning kicks. Me being confident, because I returned to high school, I got some good tape of me in high school. I was like, yeah, shoot, that's me. And, he put me back there without no hesitation. I got some catches in, So, I feel very comfortable back there,
just fair catch
only a
it,
matter
right?
of time.
No.
Just fair catch it.
No.
Every single time, just fair catch it.
No.
Yeah, it's a win for both you and the punter. We fair catch it. We get the ball. We're off the field. You just had a really difficult series on defense.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to a punt. That's good news. Let's fair catch this thing and get off the field.
No.
I'm not trying to be back there for no reason, though.
No, you're getting the ball back.
Yeah,
You're getting the ball.
No, I like that right there.
You like that right there. We like that Andrew Mason is joining us here on this Friday. Mace, what do you think about Pat Surtain catching some punts?
It's an interesting notion. I mean, realistically, I think this is a contingency plan. But, hey, you know what? Why not? The one thing I will say for Sean Payton is he's very much looking under every rock for a potential solution. That there isn't anything too audacious to at least explore. I mean, I doubt that this actually becomes something regular for the Broncos, but I admire him for at least exploring it and saying, okay, yeah, why not? This guy's a great playmaker. He's got in his background. Hey, let's see if maybe he can do it. So, hey.
Nothing is off the table for Sean Payton. That's kind of what we're learning.
But this isn't even that crazy. It has been done by countless players in the NFL. Everybody treats Pat Surtain like he's some sort of fragile person about to break at any second. Pat Surtain is 6'2". He is yoked up. He is a great athlete with amazing hands and speed. He's one of the finest conditioned athletes in the NFL. And stop trying to put bubble wrap on this dude. The key to success is to get the ball in the hands of your best playmakers as often as possible. The end. So, of course, this made sense yesterday. It made sense last year when I was called an idiot by a coach who was consequently fired, and countless other media people and scared football fans that want to wrap up a finely tuned athlete in bubble wrap. It's football, guys. Football. Guys get hurt. You can't control when guys get hurt and when guys don't get hurt. If you're playing scared, as Dan Patrick once said, buy a dog. Other than that, let's try to win games. And yeah, maybe most of the time he would fair catch the ball. But you tell me, would you rather have Pat Surtain make that decision or Montrell Washington?
Or, I don't think it's necessarily a Surtain, Montrell.
Whoever, Kendall Hinton.
Marvin Mims. Okay. Marvin Mims, I think, is going to be the guy who ends up as the punt returner this year once he gets healthy.
Okay.
And the other thing also, it all sounds good in theory. You remember 19 years ago when Champ Bailey first came here?
Yes.
And Mike Shanahan was open to getting him the ball, even though Champ's a defensive player, was open to him taking some snaps on offense, being a factor on returns. He puts him out there on offense for the first game, and he gets blown up. And at that point, Mike's like, nope, defense only. All he had to do was see Champ take one hit, and he felt like the life of the defense was flashing before his eyes.
Let me ask you, what Super Bowls did we win with Champ Bailey?
Oh, that just stabbed me in the heart.
Let's go down the list of quarterbacks that Champ Bailey had for most of his time here. Okay. I mean, you can be a great player and not have a team accomplishment. All right. Just because that's the nature of football. I mean, Joe Thomas never played in a playoff game, and he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. So, yeah, I think that's why the Super Bowl argument, I think, is specious, in my opinion.
I think Joe Thomas took I gotta be careful with my words here. I think Joe Thomas could have been a lot more bold with his career decisions based on winning. I think he took a weird non-winning path on purpose. And again, I'm choosing my words here carefully, but he had several different opportunities to actually leave Cleveland to go do something bigger and better. And he chose an easier path that included more losing than winning. So I don't know if Joe Thomas is a great example.
I can tell you this. In 2015, the path was kind of chosen for him because the Broncos were very close to a deal for Joe Thomas. So close that literally I was working for the team at the time, and I had the story on a trade for Joe Thomas written.
Wow.
Why didn't it happen?
It didn't. It didn't happen. It didn't happen because the Browns backed out. It wasn't Joe Thomas. I'm just, just telling you.
All right.
Interesting. Well, D-Mac, you're making me wish that this was wine after that comment about Champ Bailey, because my heart still breaks to this day, as you can see me and Champ right there.
Listen, you got to take some chances in football and in life that are smart chances. And you know what? You got to be prepared. And boy, you want to talk about what the Broncos' state of mind was last year. They were scared of everything. They were scared. They were discombobulated. They had terrible communication. They had inexperienced coaches. And so, listen, let's get away from the specifics of Surtain if he takes back, I don't know, 5 or 6 kicks, the entire punts, not kicks. Kicks are a whole different story. I don't want him to have anything to do with taking back kickoffs because I don't want a kickoff return basically ever. But that's a whole different story. The thing is about punts and to be prepared with options if things are going poorly. You just don't sit there and are like, I don't know what to do. I never saw this going wrong. Like you never saw the possibility of Montreal Washington not being a great punt returner or that. Of course you didn't, because you were totally inexperienced. Even though Dwayne Stukes loved to remind people he had been a special teams coordinator like 1,000 years ago that literally nobody ever remembered. It wasn't even on his bio. Like he had to remind us that he had done it. We're all like, you did? Okay. Well, I guess we'll take your word for it. I mean, it was a nightmare scenario. And as colorful and as fun as it was to talk to Dwayne Stukes, it was this insane, like, I don't know what I'm doing week after week after week, which follows up like Brock Olivo. And who was in between there, Mace?
Tom McMahon.
Tom McMahon,
who actually had a lot of experience as a special teams coordinator, and unlike Olivo and Stukes, immediately got hired by another team for that same position.
Yeah, what team?
The Raiders.
Who stink? But okay, fine.
Their special teams were better than the Broncos last year.
Low bar, Mace. Low bar. He's not bragging about anything. And I tell you, the experienced guy, maybe the most experienced special teams coach in the NFL, is a coach for the Broncos right now, Mike Westhoff, along with Sean Payton, who really takes a personal interest in special teams. So unless you want to tell me Mike Westhoff, who's written books about this stuff, and Sean Payton, who is the highest paid, highest valued coach ever in the history in the NFL, are idiots, then and listen to Pat Surtain. He's not scared. He's not afraid. It's not him that's, it's all these other chicken littles in the media and in the fan base that are just afraid of things they don't need to be afraid of, including, it sounds like, Pat McAfee. I'd be like, if Surtain was doing that interview with me, I was like, hell yeah, Pat, because we need great players to make great plays, and you're a great player.
The reality is, though, I think when it comes down to it, we're probably going to find out that Marvin Mims is better at that particular role anyway.
Then
and that's
fine.
So this is one of those things. It's a fun discussion right now. I'm not sure how much it's going to translate to the actual reality of the season and being impactful.
Okay, say that's true, which is fine, and I know that he's got that specialty in his bag. I know that. It was mini camp. Why not try it? I mean, why not open the door to it? Like, what are we afraid of during mini camp? And okay, it doesn't actually happen. It doesn't mean they haven't at least thought about it, at least tried it out, which is the only thing I was suggesting last year. So it's exhausting being right so much about this type of special teams crap. Special teams is the most freaking laborious, drawn out, overthought thing that happens in the NFL. It should be simplified to the nth degree, and you just trot on your theoretically great quarterback and your offense. That's essentially what you need to do.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, Mike Westhoff, he held court a couple of days ago, and he said something interesting, and this sort of to kind of go with your thing about special teams. He said, like, if you take out like place kicks, if you're talking about actual special teams plays, which generally involve returns, not touchbacks, but actual returns, he said there was a point in time where in a game you could get about 20 of those plays, right? And he said by the time he got to New Orleans, they had 7 per game in terms of return on both sides, returns on both sides.
And
now he did say some of that is we had Drew Brees, we had a great offense. You know, we're ending a lot of our drives in the end zone or with a field goal, but as football has evolved and now we see it with the fair catch kickoff rule, that's going to be less. That would, in theory, be less important than ever. Now, I would say this. If a team can figure out kickoff returns, then there may be an advantage to be gained. If that's a big if.
We are probably 2 years away of the ball being, after you score, 4th and 15 from your own 25. We're that close. And that would get rid of kickoffs completely. Like, gone. There are no reasons for kickoffs anymore. Kickoffs it's the worst play in the NFL. And it just got more uninteresting.
It used to be a great play.
I know, it used to be a great play.
Kickoffs are literally the worst play in an NFL game. They're the worst.
Gosh, they can be so exciting.
Yeah.
They're not, though, Rachel.
They can be, Rachel.
They used to be fun. I mean,
not anymore.
Come on. I mean, you're old enough, D-Mac, to remember, you know, when you'd have guys like Rick Upchurch and Mel Gray and, you know, running around out there making plays. I mean, that was fun.
I didn't know we were getting in a DeLorean and going back to 1973.
I know, but I know. I'd like to see kickoffs be fun again.
It's not going to be fun. And here's the biggest reason. Kickers and punters are better conditioned athletes than they've ever been. We in the NFL have, without a doubt, the best kicker punters ever in the history of the NFL. The ball goes higher, the ball goes further. And that's the end of it, guys. It's the end of kickoffs. Kickoffs are done. They are done. And it's not an exciting football play. An exciting football play is a punt. A punt can be an exciting play, or you go for it on 4th and 15. You run a play. An onside kick is not an exciting play. Here's what
it used to be before they changed the rules, saying how many players you could line up on each side of the kicker.
But they did change the rules. The rules are changed. And like I said, you should play a sport like it was invented yesterday, not 10 years ago. And right now, it's a boring-ass play. It doesn't work. Extra points used to be boring, so they moved it back. It made it a more interesting play. There are analytics to tell you how bad kickoffs and onside kicks really are. It's not even close to a punt or going for it on 4th and 15. I am exhausted having this stupid conversation.
You want to make it exciting?
Forever.
You want to make it exciting? You should you should get 1 point if the kickoff goes through the uprights. Canadian style, like you get the rouge. It's an NFL version of the rouge. If you kick it through the uprights, you get a point.
It would be something interesting for sure. Okay, we could have this debate literally.
Come on, D-Mac, that makes it exciting. It turns it into another way to score. Come on, man.
Kicking the ball sucks in football. Period. You know what's great in football? Passing, running, tackling. You know, football. Anytime you try out a little. If you're just a little.
Which of those disciplines involves the foot?
There's also nothing like watching a kicker who misses 4 field goals in a row and is all over Twitter because he missed it. It has an impact on the game. We could, like I said, we could debate this forever. Mace, what else did we learn at mini camp this week?
I mean, we got this indication the previous weeks as well. I mean, we learned just a little more about how different things are with Sean Payton. I mean, Kareem Jackson said yesterday that he's never had a coach who was on this level in terms of football mind, attention to detail. And that's actually pretty significant because Kareem Jackson played 4 years for Gary Kubiak, who's another very detail-oriented coach who's on point with things. He's sitting here saying that Sean Payton's on another level from Coobs, which I think says an awful lot about what's going on there. When y'all come out to practice for training camp, it's going to be something different than you've seen. You will see Sean Payton stop practice just to make an extended teaching point, even to everybody, not just the 22 guys on the field, but he wants everybody, all 90 players, to listen and get the point of this. It's a different ball game. The other thing also, and I mean, we know we can't get into the specifics of, players doing well, all that. I think the Broncos are going to have some really interesting decisions at wide receiver because, remember last year, Brandon Johnson was a camp star. That dude's still catching everything.
So what's the interesting decision though, Mace?
Well, the interesting decision is you look at the wide receiver complement, okay? And you've got, Marvin Mims is making the team because you picked him in the second round. Jerry Jeudy's making the team because you have the 5th-year option on him. And let's say you start looking at special teams determining some of the back end. So someone like Marquez Callaway or Lil Jordan Humphrey, who came in, who were with the Saints, they're going to make the back end of the roster too.
Tim Patrick, we're going 1, 2, 3.
Well, no, I'm getting there. Just give me a sec, okay? Let me do this my way.
Patience, my friend.
Yeah, I let you expound. You're going to let me expound.
Professor Mace is in the building. All right.
Okay. Here we go. So I gave you Jeudy, and I gave you Jeudy, and I gave you Mims, and yeah, you've got Tim Patrick, Cortland Sutton. I don't think KJ Hamler's making this team in all likelihood. Mims basically replaces him. But if you start looking at special teams determining the back end of it, and you start looking at someone like a Brandon Johnson making it, somebody like Marquez Callaway coming in from the Saints making it, and that squeeze means someone in the middle like a Tim Patrick or Cortland Sutton could be back on the trade market when we get to August potentially. If you're looking at an overall composition of the receiver room, there may be another move. There may be a move or moves with names that Broncos fans know not being on the 53 by the time we get to the season.
Interesting. Okay, well, on that note, we're going to leave it because that is a great conversation to have next week as well, looking at the wide receiver room. It is Ask Us Anything Friday, though, and I saw a few questions come in. What's more likely, 1 Rockies parade in the next 20 years or 5 combined Avs and Nuggets parades in the next 10 years? Good morning, Grant Martin. Thank you for hanging out with us. What do we got?
Say that again.
1 Rockies parade in the next 20 years. Yeah. Or 5 combined Avs and Nuggets parades in the next 10 years.
Ooh. You want to go first, D-Mac, or you want me to go?
I'll say 5 and 10.
I think 1 Rockies parade. Just because the nature of baseball in the postseason, it's not the best team over the year that wins the World Series. It's the team that's hottest at the end. I mean, you look like just 2 years ago, Atlanta wins. That's literally the worst playoff team Atlanta's ever had by record. Of all times they've gone to the playoffs, that's the worst record they've had going into the postseason. They won the World Series. We've seen wild cards win. Last year, Philadelphia is a 3rd place team and goes all the way to the World Series. Baseball, being a sport that can have random outcomes, I think there's a better shot of the Rockies. We saw it in October. They came close, made the World Series. Just getting on that run again and being the team standing at the end. I mean, you look at baseball. I think Major League Baseball in the last 20 years or so has the most different clubs that have won it all of any of the 4 major sports, if I'm not mistaken.
It's also the hardest to get to because they take the least amount of teams. It's the most dependent on the thing that the Rockies can't get, which is pitching. and you have an ownership group that does the same thing over and over and over again with the same results. Whereas you have the greatest player in the NBA who likely could win you 3 more championships. 3. You also have 3 of the top 10 players in the world with Mikko Rantanen, Nathan McKinnon, and Cale Makar. That is just awesome. I don't know if there's a top 50 player in Major League Baseball on the Rockies. And you have top players in the top 3, 4, 5, 10 for the Rockies and the Avalanche. So I think the Nuggets could win 3 more and the Avs could win 2. And you have the stars in the primes of their career. All you have with the Rockies is a lot of hope. And you just don't have much depth in pitching. There's some really good young stars, which is cool, but there's not a lot of depth and there's not a lot of pitching.
But it's also the sample size. It was 20 years. Like if it had been 10 years, I would have agreed with you, D-Mac.
But altitude.
It's 20 years on it.
Altitude is not going to change in 10 years or 20 years. It's not. And nobody's been able to figure out the altitude problem with pitching adjustments when you come back from road trips. Nobody's been able to figure it out, and it has a bigger impact on the Rockies than anybody. So, the only hope for the Rockies, seriously, is that they draft homegrown altitude kids and they become stars like Kyle Freeland. And I do got one. His name is Harry Gustin. He lives 2 miles from here. He was all west for Hawaii, first team, and had a pitching tryout for the San Diego Padres last week in Colorado Springs. Harry Gustin, draft him. 6'1", 185 pounds from Aurora, Colorado. He's the best pitcher from our state who is draft eligible. Harry Gustin. I'm not joking about this.
Yeah, I know. I know you're not. And right now, 40% of the rotation is Colorado kids.
Well, keep going.
All
Keep
right,
going.
Mace.
And Seabold had no hitter through 5 1/3 last week. There's something to it.
Hey, and great job by local Colorado baseball schools to not even recruit Harry whatsoever. You'll be thinking about that when he gets drafted in about a week or so.
Mace, are you attending a Braves game this summer?
Yeah, I'll probably be attending 5 or 6 of them. I'll probably get to a couple in 2 or 3 in Wisconsin. Because they're going to be out there when I'm out there, and they're going to be playing the Brewers, and I'll be at the Braves Rockies games. I believe late August. So sorry, James and everybody, I will not be available to fill in on Denver Sports Tonight on those days.
There you go. Dog's sick already.
I have a question for Mace.
Yeah.
How did it feel being at Broncos practice when everybody was at the parade?
Fine. Look, here's how I viewed it. Cecil and I talked about this yesterday. It's like a 24-hour Walgreens or a 7-Eleven on Christmas. Somebody has to be there minding the store, right?
I like it.
Everyone else is having the holiday. Someone's got to be there keeping the lights on, keeping the machines running.
Yep.
Those of us who were out there covering Broncos, that's what we were doing.
I'll tell you this, Greg Penner should have gone over to each one of you and shook your hand and said thank you.
Hey,
based on what else was going on.
We actually didn't come over, didn't shake our hands, but we did. A few of us did have a conversation with Greg yesterday.
Okay,
at the start of practice. There you go. Yeah, and some of the talk was about the parade and everything going on, and how many people were there. He was asking, like, how many people do you expect to be there? And my estimation was it would be somewhere between the Avs parade and the Broncos parade. The Broncos was 1 million, Avs 500K. And did we see it's 700K to 1 million was the estimate? So I'd say probably kind of spot on there. It was somewhere in between. So
can I guess who was actually there at the Broncos practice?
Sure, go for it.
Broncos staff like Phil Milani and Eric, those guys, right?
Check.
Okay, you and Cease.
Yep, we were there.
Blitz.
Yep, Plus was there.
Troy
was there.
Jeff Leggy
was there.
Sean, oh gosh, the guy from the Post, I'm forgetting him. Nice, great guy. Beard.
Parker Gabriel.
Parker Gabriel.
Parker Gabriel, and then their new number 2, Ryan McFadden. He was there.
Zach from DNVR.
Yes.
And that's it.
Cody Roark from Mile High Sports was there.
Okay.
And Arnie Stapleton from the AP. Arnie was there.
He wasn't at the parade. He was there.
Yeah.
Dang. Okay.
I don't think I'm missing anybody. I think that, and I apologize. There may have been like a camera person or two, but as far as the reporters go, I think that was. Chris Thomason from the Gazette was there too.
Okay.
So,
all right.
It's a hardy crew.
Yeah.
Just a one-word answer. Best of 7, who wins? This year's Nuggets or the 2009 Nuggets? Mace, go.
This year. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. That's a question.
I see another one that says, how are you going to find enough stuff to entertain us till training camp starts? Don't you worry, everybody.
Oh.
Will bring the entertainment.
We'll just yell at each other about stupid crap like we just did.
Yeah.
D-Mac's great at this.
We'll find. I mean, do you want D-Mac and I to just yell at each other for 30 minutes? We'll be happy to do it.
Get James Merrillat in here for an extra 5-minute segment. We're good. I promise you don't have to worry about
Bring up special teams and stadiums, and I'm off and going.
Yeah.
Real quick plug though. We're on downtime. I just want to do a quick plug for what we got at Orange and Blue today, because Cecil and I are put a bunch of shows in the can. A bunch of them are going to be what if debates, as in like, what if the Broncos didn't trade for John Elway? And you're going to love the one, D-Mac, that we did. What if the Broncos drafted Justin Fields?
Oh, man. I knew that. You should have had him be a special guest. We would have won 10 Super Bowls.
I'm sure when you watch this, D-Mac, you're going to want to talk about it on air. And
we'd be talking about going to a parade again. We'd be talking about the next parade is what we'd be talking about.
Yeah.
Justin Fields would win 10 Super Bowls in a Broncos uniform. Also, I do want to highlight this. It was great meeting you guys yesterday. I got to chat with Rachel, Jake, and Zach, and Will. You guys were amazing. We were so happy to be able to chat with everybody down there at the parade. It was so cool to see everybody. But of course, we love hanging out with you guys in the comments. Mace, thank you so much. Huge shout out to Jake, too, for joining us. And of course, the parade was a blast. I'm about to go edit the vlog for all of you guys. If you haven't already, check out the little teaser that's out on social media. And we will see you guys on Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. for another episode. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend.